Hello and welcome back to the channel. So this is part 2 of painting a Tyrant. What I've got at this stage is the sort of slap chop method all down, and then I've gone and put a null wash over all of the metallic areas, so his armors and weapons and things. If you want to see what I did, how I got to this stage, then check out part 1. Let's just get his face in view as well. So in this part, I'm basically going to go around and sort of bring out some of the colours, do a bit of the highlighting. We'll be using edge highlighting methods and sort of dry brushing methods as well, just to bring some of the colour back, because it does create this sort of dull, dirty look, grim dark look, which is good. You know, it's really good if you want. I've done my orcs this way and they do look really, really good. But the intention now is just to sort of bring some of the colour back in, make it a little bit more deep, add a bit more depth. Especially on your character models, you might want to go a little bit further and make them look a little bit more to them. So the first colour I'm going to be using is Screaming Skull, and this is going to be just a really light dry brush on the sort of leather areas, trying to mainly pick out the sort of stitching and gently get the highlights. So you can see, I mean, there's plenty of definition there already. We're just going to brighten that up a little bit, and we'll also catch the bone, and if I'm feeling confident enough, maybe some of the strapping as well. But to me, the strapping looks pretty good as it is. You've got all the edge highlighting that you really need, and it would just be to brighten up a little bit of colour. That's all we would be doing it for. So get a little bit of this on the brush, and then getting as much off as you possibly can. Just be using the dry brush method here, sort of just to pick out the stitching. You can see it's starting to pop already, and adding this sort of weathered look to the leather. Again, it's not a case of going over the top, it's just a case of bringing back some of the brightness to the model, because we will be using sort of brighter colours. And down at the bottom here, where it's probably been worn a little bit. Okay. Okay, I think that's about all we need to do. There you go, that's made quite a difference on the little bit of a strap here that didn't quite cover in the pallid bone. Just make these skulls pop a little bit more as well. We could do that. Again, just a reminder, it's the sort of the lightest of lightest highlights that we're going for, just to get the colour back up. We need a tiny bit more on the brush now. I'm taking that much off that it's not lasting very long. We're getting these straps here, and these buttons is what we want to be doing now. This is the main edge of those buttons. Let's see how the difference it's making to these straps as well. They're a lot clearer now. Okay, so there are a few more things I'm going to do. Work on this strap in the front of these buttons, the front of these horns and things. Then I'll come back when we've got the next colour out. So with the bun and all the leather parts sort of highlighted now with that dry brushing technique that we've used, I'm going to do a tiny little amount on the blue, on his blue pants. So again, it's just a case of trying to get them stitches to pop a little bit more, make them a lot more obvious, make it look like you've spent a lot of work on them. And for that, I'm going to be using Frisian Grey. Again, it's just going to be an extremely light dry brush, getting in and just kind of catching it. So that mainly it's the stitches that we're working on. But you can see now that there's a little bit more depth to those stitches. Probably a little bit too much on the brush, to be fair, but it is what it is now. Let's see if we can catch this edge here. Just adding a bit of brightness back to the model. That's all we're really going for. And then just giving the appearance that we've spent a lot more time on it than we actually have. And I'll just come around here. You've got these at the back, just there. And again, we've caught that crease there. Looks really good. So I appreciate that dry brushing, leaning against the table that your camera's attached to, probably isn't the best idea. It's causing the camera to shake a little bit. I apologise in advance for that, but I've got a very cheap setup. But yeah, there we go. So that's pretty much the blue done. And from there, I'm going to move on to the skin. But this is not going to be dry brush. This is we're gonna sort of pick bits out. And for this, I'm using Kislev Flesh. Yes, just had to double check that was correct. And just with a really small brush, just going to sort of pick out the raised areas. Give them a slightly more flesh tone. Okay. Using very small amounts on the brush. Maybe should have actually attached his head here so I can see where the lights and the shadows need to be. Okay. You see, nothing too over the top. We don't want to be, just wanting to bring it back a little bit. nose. Just picking out his fingers, knuckles. And sort of backs of his hand. Just to brighten it up a little bit, nothing over the top, like I say, because all we're actually doing is just raising the colour. Now I do understand the box art. This hand is actually blood soaked, and so are the straps. You know, I haven't gone for that sort of look. That doesn't work for me. All we're doing here is making clear definition between his hand and his armour. Most of that is covered up anyway, so you don't see that so much. And maybe a little touch on his arm, just about here. And there we go. Oh, there's his underarm just here as well. So let's get a it didn't take very well, the paint down in this area, so this is a chance just to sort of fill out and bring some colour that should be there into it. Because we're painting on practically black, then it's as dull as you want it to be anyway, because it should be in the shadows, that sort of area. So yeah, there we go. Now you can also sort of bring some of this skin up as well. Again, just sort of edge highlighting. Just to brighten it up. There you go, nothing too crazy. But we've brought that up as well, so let's just, there we go. Now on his face I'm going to switch to a smaller brush because his face is tiny. So all we're looking at here is just highlighting his nose. his brow. And his cheeks. Okay, so his face is a lot clearer now. Not as dark and hidden as it once was. And if you're feeling really confident, which I very rarely am, pick out his lips. There we go. Alright, so that's the skin done. Now we're going to go back to the dry brushing method and we're going to concentrate on the armour. Now I'm just going to use, again, a very, very light dry brush, because all we're trying to do is just re-establish some of the values in the colour. Give it a sort of worn-edged look. And for that we're going to be using Stormhost Silver. And there's a lot of armour on the model, or a lot of metallic on the model that we're going to try and catch. Now, the metal I used before is quite a dark, dull metal colour. So this is quite bright, which is another reason why we are just looking for a very, very light dusting of this colour, basically. So I think it was Iron Warriors they used, wasn't it? So we just need to, again, sorry in advance, because I do appreciate that it's a shaky camera. Okay, so you can see that's brightened it up no end, but we don't want to brighten it up too much, or at least I don't think I want to brighten it up too much. Just want to sort of make it look like we spent a bit of time on the edges. Creating that definition. You see the definition of the blade now. You know, with very little effort at all, we've created that. And moving on to this panel here, you know, we catch the rivets and things like that. And it just brightens it up ever so slightly. That looks a lot better. If you can compare that, not sure how that's going to look, but you compare that to a shoulder panel, you can see that it's just brought the colour back into the piece of armour without taking away the depth. And that's kind of what we're aiming for. And we'll just catch the tips of these bones, because these are metallic. Obviously being very careful not to spoil anything that we've already done. So So again, it's just a case of catching what we need to, add a bit of definition back into it. Okay. Just get a little brush on this golden mask. Okay, so there's quite a lot of metal to do, so I'm going to do the rest off camera, and we're pretty much there at that point. I'll be back in a... And here we go. So here's the sort of finished article. I've obviously attached his head now, so you can see that all we've done is brought back some of the colour, brightened him up a little bit, and these few extra little steps have made it look a lot better. Well, in my opinion, it's definitely made it... It's not even dry. Sorry. So it's made it look a much better model, in my opinion. So yeah, just doing the slap chop technique is amazing. It's going to get models on the table, but if you just want to take them to the next level and do a little bit more, then there are things that you can do just to make the colours punch a little bit more, and bring everything to a slightly brighter colour scheme all in all. So if you've found anything useful or helpful, then please like and subscribe. You know, I'm coming up to 500 subscribers now. I'd really like to push that over 500 if I can. But please stay tuned for more how I paint things or unboxings, whatever it is I've got coming up in the foreseeable future. So thank you for sticking with me, and hopefully I shall catch you in the next one.